Hello, my friends, and welcome to the Darkest Corner. Today, tales will be of phobias that humanity has. Enjoy our stories, and please click and subscribe and hit that bell to help me grow this channel. Thank you.
The flickering gaslight cast long, distorted shadows across the alley, making the overflowing bins look like grotesque, hunched figures. A chill deeper than the autumn air snaked down my spine as I hurried toward the main street. That's when I saw him. Leaning against the brick wall at the alley's mouth was a clown. Not the cheerful, balloon animal twisting kind, but something else. His face was painted a stark white, cracked in places like old porcelain, with jagged black lines forming an unnaturally wide, fixed grin. Crimson paint dripped from the corners of his mouth, not quite reaching his ruffled collar. His eyes, visible in the gloom, were dark and seemed to hold a bottomless emptiness. He didn't move, didn't juggle, didn't make a sound. He just watched. My heart hammered against my ribs. I told myself it was just someone in a costume, maybe heading to a party, but there was an unsettling stillness about him, an aura that screamed wrongness. I tried to look away, to pretend I hadn't seen him, but my feet felt rooted to the spot. His gaze felt like a physical weight, pressing down on me. The silence stretched, punctuated only by the distant hum of traffic. Then slowly, almost imperceptibly, the corners of his painted grin seemed to widen further, stretching beyond the limits of a human face. One gloved hand, the fingers long and unnervingly thin, twitched. A low gurgling sound emanated from his throat, like water struggling to escape a drain. It wasn't a laugh, not even close. It was something ancient and malevolent. Panic finally broke through my paralysis. I spun around and ran, my breath catching in my throat. The alley seemed to stretch endlessly behind me. The image of that fixed, horrifying grin burned into my mind. I didn't dare look back. I could almost feel his gaze on my retreating form, the gurgling sound echoing in my ears. I ran until my lungs burned and my legs ached, not stopping until I burst onto the brightly lit main street. The normalcy of the Saturday afternoon crowd a stark contrast to the terror I had just fled. Even now, the memory sends a shiver down my spine. Sometimes when the shadows lengthen and the night is still, I can almost see that white face in the darkness, that impossible grin promising something unspeakable. And I run again, even though he's not there. He's always there, in the corner of my mind, the scariest clown I ever didn't want to meet. The old house stood on a hill overlooking the town, its darkened windows like vacant eyes staring into the perpetual twilight of the overgrown yard. Locals whispered stories of the Blackwood Manor, tales of shadows that moved on their own, and whispers carried on the wind. I, a foolishly brave urban explorer named Liam, dismissed them as folklore. Tonight, I intended to prove them wrong. The front door groaned open under my hesitant push, releasing a gust of dust and the cloying scent of decay. Moonlight filtered through the grimy windows, illuminating cobwebs thick as cotton candy draped across every surface. It was the kind of place where spiders thrived, I thought with a shiver, but nothing more than the usual house spiders. How wrong I was. In the grand hall, a massive chandelier hung precariously, its crystal pendants coated in layers of silk. But these weren't ordinary cobwebs. They were intricate, almost architectural, woven with a precision that felt deliberate, and they moved. Not with the gentle sway of dust motes, but with a subtle, unsettling twitch. As I ventured deeper, the air grew heavy, and a faint, skittering sound echoed from the walls. In the dining room, the long mahogany table was completely enveloped in a silken shroud. Then I saw it. Perched on the edge of the table, its silhouette stark against the moonlight, was a spider unlike any I had ever imagined. Its body was the size of my hand, its legs long and spindly, covered in what looked like tiny razor-sharp barbs. Its eyes, multiple and gleaming like black beads, seemed to fix on me. A wave of primal fear washed over me, cold and paralyzing. This wasn't a house spider. This was something else. More emerged from the shadows. Dozens, then hundreds of the monstrous creatures scuttled across the floor, their movements unnervingly coordinated. The skittering intensified, becoming a chorus of tiny, scraping claws. I backed away slowly, my flashlight beam shaking. Their eyes reflected the light, creating a terrifying constellation of black dots. I could feel the vibrations in the floor as they moved, a silent, relentless advance. One of the larger spiders dropped from the ceiling, landing silently on the floor inches from my feet. Its fangs, long and wickedly curved, glistened in the dim light. A thin strand of silk shot out from its spinnerets, anchoring itself to my boot. Panic seized me. I ripped my foot away, tearing the silk, and turned to flee. But they were everywhere. They flowed from the walls, the floor, the ceiling, a living tide of chitin and legs. I stumbled through the house, the skittering a deafening roar in my ears. I could feel their delicate, yet surprisingly strong, silk brushing against my skin. One latched onto my arm, its barbed legs digging into my flesh. I screamed, swatting it away, leaving a trail of blood. I finally reached the front door, fumbling with the rusted handle. As I burst out into the night, I could feel them on me, crawling in my hair down my back. I tore at them frantically. The image of their multiple black eyes burned into my vision. I ran down the hill, not stopping until I reached the town. The normalcy of the streetlights a fragile shield against the horror I had witnessed. But even now I feel phantoms skittering on my skin, the weight of their gaze. And I know with a chilling certainty that the Blackwood Manor and its monstrous inhabitants are not just folklore. They are real and they are waiting.